It's 11 o'clock. We will wait for another few people to join, and in another 2 minutes, we'll start, sir. Mr. Ramji?
Oh, yes, no problem.
Yes, yeah. Another 2 minutes. VC sir will start in another 2 minutes, sir.
Sure, no issue.
College is often viewed as a mere institution, a labyrinth of classrooms, textbooks, and endless exams, where our future is shaped. Yet, when we step foot on campus, we realize that we are not alone on this journey. University transcends academia, transforming into a vibrant community where individuals unite to learn from one another, to grow and to forge unforgettable bonds. It's not always about having a precise plan. It's not always about figuring out. It's not always about reaching the finish line first. It's about discovering what we are truly passionate about. The true essence of college, however, lies beyond the confines of academic pursuits. What truly makes college so special is the life that's lived within its walls. It's about seeing things from different perspectives, exploring unique possibilities, taking on new challenges, finding joy in friendship, embracing individuality, expanding our knowledge and skills, and immersing ourselves in extraordinary experiences. It's a path that teaches us about resilience, courage, and determination. A quest that allows us to pursue our goals with purpose and clarity. A quest that helps us find balance, happiness, and fulfillment. A transformation that inspires us to live with intention, curiosity, and joy. A trail that leads us to a deeper understanding of who we are and what truly matters. It's a journey of self-discovery, where every experience shapes us into the best version of ourselves. We attend college for the education, but what we live with is a treasure trove of experiences that shape us forever. Experience a whole new world of academic excellence in a global environment. Dayanand Sagar University, inspiring future trailblazers today.
Good morning and a warm welcome to all the distinguished principals and highly esteemed teachers on behalf of Dayananda Sagar University. I extend a warm welcome to each one of you participating in this enlightening program, a webinar, a pivotal component of our School Development Initiative program. It's truly a pleasure to have such a distinguished gathering of educators from across Pan-India coming together to contribute the advancement of education. Dayananda Sagar University takes great pride in being part of esteemed Dayananda Sagar school development programs, which encompasses of top-notch colleges, universities, and international schools collectively striving for educational excellence. The SDIP initiative is a testament to our commitment to the professional development of our educators through a wide range of enlightening workshops and training sessions. We aim to empower teachers with the knowledge of skills necessary for navigating the ever-evolving landscape of education. Recognizing the critical role our educators play in shaping our future generations, to keep a special emphasis on their well-being, offering opportunities and pedagogical approaches that contribute to their continuous growth. Growth mindset is a belief that any ability can be developed through hard work and employing the right strategies. This is as opposed to a fixed mindset where the belief is all abilities are inborn and hence limited by your inborn ability. Incorporating certain strategies into teaching practices, educators can contribute to the development of a growth mindset among adolescents, empowering them to face challenges with resilience, embrace learning opportunities, and ultimately thrive academically and personally. Hence, to educate us on these strategies, today we have distinguished speakers amongst us. It is my great pleasure to introduce you all to our first speaker of the day, Dr. K.N. Balasubramanya Murthy, Professor of CSE and Vice Chancellor Dayananda Sagar University, former Vice Chancellor PES University, Bangalore. Sir holds a bachelor's degree in electrical power engineering, master's degree in electrical engineering from IIT Science, Bangalore, and PhD in computer science and engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. Sir has worked as a research specialist in parallel computing at New York, Mexico State University, USA. Sir is also a former member of Karnataka State Higher Education Council and the Academic Senate member of IIIT Dharwad. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Our second speaker today is Mr. Ram G. Wallat. He has completed his BTech in electronics from IIT Madras and his MBA is from XLRI Jamshedpur. He is also a keynote speaker, storyteller, growth mindset coach, mental wellness coach, accredited CXO coach, tech co-founder, TEDx speaker, parenting coach. He was a COO with Airtel, director with Dell and HP. He is the co-founder of Tech Startup. He is also a best-selling author of 3 books and much sought after motivational speaker. Welcome to you, Mr. Ramji. I would request
Thank you
Dr.
so much. Sorry.
Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. K.N.B. Murthy to set the context. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Good morning. Respected guest for the day, Ramji Wallat, Madam Bhairavi Chavan, taken the initiative to organize this program. My fellow teachers from the various schools and institutions across the country, I'm extremely happy to be a part of this event. As you're aware, Dayananda Sagar University is a state private university in the state of Karnataka, approved by Government of Karnataka. This university has been organizing several programs to create awareness among the students, the faculty, and others about various activities. These programs have been organized by the university in the last 3 years, which has yielded some results in terms of creating a kind of sensitiveness or creating awareness among the people on various issues. For the students, we normally conduct programs to tell them about a program of study, what are its academics and the rigor also talk about the kind of opportunities, the kind of challenges in a program study, and what are the growth prospects or the career prospects for a student going to a particular program. We also do these programs to the faculty under the School Development Initiative Program, wherein we choose the topics of relevance to all of us, because we are also teachers. We know what are the topics which are of concern to all of us. Invite an expert like Ramji Valath, listen to him or her to find out an expert opinion and expert take on the topic, and try to learn and incorporate some of those things for the benefit of our students. As teachers, we are all interested in 3 or 4 important aspects. The first aspect that we are interested is how to make our students to learn things better, learn things in a much more intensive way compared to others. That's one thing which all of us are interested. Second thing that we are also interested in to ensure that our students are going to learn things with minimum stress or no stress. I think we need to take out the stress also. That's one of the key things all of us need to work for. And we also need to tell them clearly what is the kind of careers that are possible and how do they go building their careers and reach out to the positions which they are interested in. The second thing that all of us are interested is how do we make our institution offer quality education to our students and also the society at large. That we also look at is how do we make this society a better place for all of us to be a part of and continuously contribute to its growth. These are the general things that all of us keep working on. Today's topic is a very interesting topic, wherein the growth mindset among the adolescents. It's a quite involved topic. Possibly our expert would be able to tell us more about that. As for my understanding goes, because I'm not an expert in this area, I'm an expert of computer science, where I talk about programming, AI, machine learning, and how does it affect the lives of the people, etc. This is a topic concerning the human understanding, human behavior, and so many other things. I would like to understand this in the following way. Mindset is all about the self-perception. I think how exactly we perceive ourselves. And also the few beliefs that we hold for ourselves. This is what the mindset is all about. There are also multiple ways of defining the mindset. The second term that comes into play is growth mindset. Growth mindset is how do we have these self-perceptions and build a mechanism or a method to have some kind of growth. The growth must be positive. Whenever we talk about growth, it must be positive. It must be a good growth. Then how do we do that? Then the third thing that is, and the topic is the growth mindset of the adolescents. How our students are going to develop that mindset for the growth. What all that we need to do as teachers, as an educational institution, what is it we can do to build that growth mindset in our adolescents or in our students? We need to give them the right value system. Whenever we give the right value system and right perspective of things, I think the mindset gets a kind of belief, gets a perception that it's possible. Therefore, it's necessary to build that perception in our students all the time. We need to be positive. We need to analyze things in a way they understand things in a positive way. Therefore, there are various ways. One, in my understanding, is to provide that small space for people to come and talk to us. Because whenever the student has some clarifications or doubts, the teachers must provide that small space to come out and speak to teachers. Say, share their questions, queries, get the right answer. Thereby, the students understand those kind of queries in the right way, or the issues in the right way. Second, we need to tell the student that it's possible to bring in the change in an environment that we are working, and also bring that positive impact in the system. Third thing that we also need to tell them is that everything is possible provided we have a mindset of doing those things to make them possible. Then the second thing that we also need to tell them is every time is the right time. There's nothing like you need to wait for a particular kind of thing. You can say start doing few things. Therefore, build that passion. Build that passion is basically to tell them that you can do things. It's possible. It's always the approach that we are going to take to make it possible is what matters. I'm sure some of these things build a kind of confidence in the minds of the students to work towards building a perception or self-perception or belief that he or she can contribute, can make a difference. And again, when we talk of growth mindset, it's not pertaining to the self alone. It's not the self-growth. It's a growth of the self, of course, the organs that we work for, the region that we stay in, the nation we're part of. I think we can say the growth mindset is basically to bring in some impact, bring in some change of whatever we are planning to do. It's possible to build the growth of the institution, growth of the self, growth of the locality, growth of the community, growth of whatever. It's possible. That's exactly what the belief that we need to get. I'm sure this particular topic is quite involved. Expert would tell us more about that. And I'm extremely happy that good number of teachers have joined this particular call virtually to listen to the expert and trying to get his viewpoints about the topic. Without taking much time, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to make these few opening remarks and welcome our guest to tell us more about the topic. And at the end of this discussion, I think we will be able to carry a few points and take them to our students, take them to our institutions to bring in the small change. Small change in the institution itself is a big contribution to the growth of the country. I think we don't have to do anything other than what we have to do in our small institutions, small places. If we can bring some change within our institution, I think that's going to bring in change all over. I think that impact is very huge. It keeps spreading, keeps moving from place to place. With these few words, thank you very much. Over to Madam Bhairavi to take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We always look forward to listening to you, and you guide us so well, you know. It's a pleasure that you could spare few minutes for us. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would request Mr. Ramji Valla to start with his presentation and the session. Meanwhile, I would also like to request all the participants to key in their questions in the question and answer box, which will be answered at the end of the session by our speaker. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Bhairavi, and thank you so much, Dr. Murthy. First of all, I really want to thank you for having me here because over the last 6-7 years, I have delivered over 150, 170 talks. And it's typically to a lot of corporate employees, including Fortune 500 companies, global leadership teams. But nothing gives me as much pleasure as addressing a group of teachers, because my purpose in life is to make an impact before I die. And nobody can make an impact in the next generation or in the world as much as teachers can. So I really want to thank you once again for having me here. Bhairavi was very kind enough to introduce me in very glowing terms. She talked about all my achievements. So motivational speaker, IIT, XLRI. The thing is, over the last 10 years, I've had a lot of opportunity to think back on what is it that made me successful? What aspects of things did I fail in? And what are the aspects in which I succeeded? And I find myself believing that I've been extremely lucky. I've been extremely lucky that my teachers and my parents inculcated the right kind of qualities in me, which made me strive towards success all the time, irrespective of some of the huge setbacks that I have had in my life. And today, what I wanted to do was share some of those qualities with all of you, and hopefully that it will make a small difference in your understanding of some of these qualities, and then you can impart that to the hundreds and thousands of students that you will be touching with over the next whatever number of years. So that's the purpose. And I call these qualities, today it's called power skills, actually. It's not my IIT technical skills which came to my rescue when I went through some of the most difficult aspects or phases of my life. It's actually the power skills which came to my rescue. And it's those skills that I would like to talk about. Let me start with sharing my PowerPoint presentation. Just give me 1 second. Are you able to see my PPT, Bhairavi?
Yes, I can see. You can just go to the full screen.
done that, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, we can see that. Yes, sir.
Okay. So today's talk is partly about growth mindset, but also about a couple of other skills which go along with growth mindset. Altogether, I want to name it being boundless. Being boundless in terms of what you can achieve in life, being boundless in terms of the dreams that you have, and how does one unshackle oneself, unshackle one's mind, and go about achieving what you set out to do in your life. So I studied in Kerala. I studied in a very small village in a Malayalam medium government school. In fact, this is the kind of school I studied in. For the first 3 to 4 years of my schooling, there were no benches or desks in the school, and we all had to sit on the floor and study. In my 10th grade, the pass percentage in my school was 20%. That means 80% of the students used to actually fail in the SSLC board exam. Everything was taught in Malayalam, whether it was physics, chemistry, mathematics, history, geography. Actually, in my school, even English was taught in Malayalam. And of course, I had nobody to compare myself with in that school because I was by far the highest in terms of marks in my class. And when it became time to actually look at competitive exams, and I wanted to become an engineer, there was nobody who was even thinking of becoming an engineer. So there was nobody going through entrance exams, nobody preparing for that. And I had to prepare for the entrance exams myself. But it was at that point in time that a lot of the inculcated values of being purposeful really helped me. And I was driven by wanting to achieve. So I used to spend maybe on a daily basis, maybe 5 to 6 hours studying. And there were times when I could not solve the problem myself because my father was also very clear that I would have zero tuition from outside the school. So studying in a Malayalam medium school where the 20% pass percentage, no external tuition, I had to do all the preparations myself. And I think that was very lucky for me because since I had nobody to compare myself with, I believed that I had to get 100% of the questions right in my practice exams. So I would actually get this brilliant tutorial, was one of the main tutorials at that time. I would get their handsets, their handouts, and I would go through and try to solve the exams. And sometimes I would sit for 4 or 5 days to solve a single problem because I believed that every problem had to be solved, otherwise I would not get through to the engineering college. And that ability to continuously look at the problem, find a solution, looking at it from various angles, I think that really helped me in life as well as in my entrance exams, because obviously the questions are not going to be the same type of questions. They would throw some surprise questions at us. And unless you had the ability to look for solutions, you would not have been able to crack it. And that's why I managed to get into IIT with a All India JEE rank of 129 in that year out of about 3 to 4 lakh students who had attempted JEE at that time. And I was on top of the world. I have reached IIT, one of the most coveted places. My family was very proud of me. My entire district was talking about me. I was one of the 3 or 4 people from Kerala who had got into IIT in that year. So the whole state sort of knew about me. I came to IIT and then I faced my second biggest challenge, which is that I had not spoken a single word in English in my life. And for me, stringing up a few words to make a sentence and talk to a stranger in a language which I had never spoken in before was one of the most difficult tasks. And I was petrified. I had this deep inferiority complex compared to all my classmates, most of whom were from metros, from Madras, from Bangalore, from Mumbai, Bombay at that time, from Delhi, and they could all speak such fluent English. So it took me a long time to be able to muster up the courage to speak to some of my classmates. But it's when I started doing that, and I had to really push myself out of my comfort zone to be able to do that. But when I started doing that, I realized that they're also having their own set of mental demons. They also have their fears. It's not as if I was alone fighting this battle. And I also realized that they are from very similar backgrounds. Middle-class families, people who have struggled, their parents have put them through through schools which may not be the best in the state. And they have managed to reach here because of their sense of purpose. And that helped me make friends quickly with a large number of students. So that was the second lesson which I learned, which is that it's great to have a sense of purpose. At the same time, you also need to have the ability to push oneself out of one's comfort zone. Then only one can really achieve anything in life. I went on to make a lot of friends. And unfortunately, in IIT, while I had this incredibly purposeful life before coming to IIT, within IIT, I somehow lost my way. And I was trying to figure out what is it that I want to achieve from IIT. And that lack of purpose in IIT started reflecting on my grades. And my grades started tanking. And as the grades started tanking, I thought, wow, okay, I'm going to be seen as an idiot in my class because I'm below the 50th percentile mark in my class. I was in the bottom half of my class. And here I had come with great achievements out here, and I'm failing out here. Now, rather than show up as a failure, I thought I would hide my inabilities behind a facade of bravado. So I started going around like a class dada. And I would actually bunk classes. I would sit outside the class. I would smoke a cigarette. And I would look at the professor with a lot of contempt. I would play cards late into the night just before an exam. And basically, I wanted to project myself as this cool dude who is not bothered about exams. The reason actually was because I was scared of exams. I was scared of failing. And this fear of failure made me go down the path of trying to cover it up by this dadagiri which I was doing. And right enough, that was a self-fulfilling prophecy. And my grades started tanking further. And over the next 6 semesters, my CGPA out of 10 went to 5.5. And I was nearly thrown out of IIT. I did not have enough grades to complete my course. I didn't enough credits to complete my course. I didn't know what to do. I started running from professor to professor, falling at their feet, requesting for summer courses so that I can make up for the courses that I have lost. But obviously, for a dada like me who would sit outside the class and smoke cigarettes and be contemptuous of the professor, they had absolutely no sympathy. And I started contemplating suicide at that point in time. Luckily, at that point in time, my parents visited me in IIT. That was the best thing that happened to me because when they came, rather than hiding all these idiotic things I've been doing, I went and confessed everything to them. And very luckily for me, my parents believed in being supportive rather than judgmental. They sat me down. They asked me what is happening. They tried to understand why I had gone down this path. And they stayed on in IIT for a month, encouraging me to turn around. And I managed to then turn my life around. I graduated from IIT in 5 years instead of 4, but I did graduate finally. So that is the other thing huge lesson I learned, that a network of support in life is critical for success. Every single thing in life will not go your way. You need to find collaborators. You need to find people who will support you. You need to lean on them time and again and again. And that's how we succeed in life. Nobody in the world is a self-made person. They all have to take help from so many hundreds and thousands of people in life. So I managed to get out of IIT, but I had, unlike Dr. Murthy here, who must be very good at his subject, I was pretty much a zero in my subject. So I had to bank on what I call soft skills or power skills, which is what it's called today, and then go for my management degree. So I completed my management in XLRI, and I had a life, a professional life, which was incredibly successful. And the reason again was that I had a purpose in life at that point in time. And it was a laughable purpose today. When I look at it, it was to make as much money as possible as early as possible. So that was a single-minded purpose for me. I wanted to climb up the corporate ladder in leaps and bounds. I wanted to make tons and tons of money. And I wanted to be very rich very early. And I managed to succeed in some sense, right? I became the youngest chief operating officer in the telecom industry in the country at the age of 34. Just 10 years out of my campus, I had achieved a great success in professional life. I was by far the youngest person. Maybe the next nearest youngest person was about 40 years old. So I was achieving something substantial in corporate life at a very, very early stage. And I was driven. And my ambition was to become the global CEO of a Fortune 500 company by the age of 45. I wanted to have lakhs of people reporting to me. I wanted to straddle the globe. I wanted to travel all over the world, having people in every country reporting to me. That's my ambition. But usually it's when you have this awesome ambitions that fate sort of comes up behind you and gives you a kick in the backside. And for me, it started with a slight tremor in my fingers every time I tried to pick up a spoon or a fork or a pen in my hand, and a slight lack of balance every time I tried to climb up or down stairs. And over a period of the next 7 years, the condition kept getting worse. And I went to doctor after doctor. Nobody could diagnose what exactly was the problem. And at the age of 41, when I was director of operations for HP India, I had a viral fever. And the fever made the condition far worse. And at the end of 4 days, I was completely paralyzed. I was unable to move my fingers or my feet even 1 millimeter. I couldn't speak because my voice had started fading. I couldn't even keep my eyelids open because there was no control that I had over my eyelids. They would keep drooping and dropping. It was fortunately at this time that I was wheeled to the hospital by my wife. And then the doctors diagnosed the condition correctly. I had an autoimmune condition, which is one of the worst possible kinds of conditions. In this, your blood corpuscles, your white blood corpuscles, which are supposed to protect you from germs from outside, they have gone rogue. They had become mad, and they were attacking my own body. So my own blood corpuscles were attacking the peripheral nerves of my hands and feet. And the nerves had become completely useless by that time. And there was no impulses going from the brain to my muscles in my peripherals. That's my hands and legs. And because of that, I had already lost a lot of muscles by that time. And this viral fever had made the condition suddenly much worse. And that's why I was unable to move. Luckily, I was put on some medication. Then it was an intravenous drug, which is administered over the next 6 days. And in those 6 days, 36 bottles of this drug went into my body. And pretty soon I started feeling wonderful. And I thought, wow, I have arrived in life. Now I can try and focus on fixing my body. This medicine seems to have worked well. And I was discharged from the hospital and I started working out. I would work out for 2-3 hours trying to build back the muscles I had lost. And suddenly I found that I could run up 9 floors of steps to my office. I could play cricket with my children. I could cook for them. I made pizzas for them, and life was wonderful. And I thought, wow, now I can get back to worrying about all this and then back to becoming the Fortune 500 company CEO. Unfortunately, in another 2 months, the condition came back. And it came back as bad as what it was. And I was again wheeled to the hospital. I had to go through another round of the same intravenous drug. It is called IVIG. The problem was that this one dose would cost 6 lakh rupees. Unfortunately, I couldn't spend 6 lakh rupees every 2 months. And that's what the doctor told me, that this is not a permanent solution. You have to keep taking the drug. And that's the first time he was telling me that. Till then, I was thinking it's a permanent solution. Well, I couldn't afford the drug, so I had to have steroids. Steroids make me put on weight. It had a lot of side effects. I had brittle bones because of the steroids. Today, I have bone death on both my hip bones because of the steroids. I had to have cataract operation for both eyes because the steroids put some kind of a coating on the lens of the eyes. In spite of all that, I would find it extremely difficult to walk or even hold my balance while standing. And I was holding down an extremely tough job as director of operations for Hewlett Packard in the country. I would keep tripping and falling. The worst was when I had to travel abroad and I would have a jet lag. I would go to the US or Singapore and the jet lag would hit me and my body would become very weak. So for an 8 o'clock morning meeting, I had to get up at 5 because it would take me about 60 to 90 minutes to put on the 6 buttons of my shirt. Because my fingers didn't have the strength to hold the button or hold the lapel from the other side, couldn't push the button through, couldn't hold the button on the other side. And every 2 minutes, I had to keep dropping my hand because the biceps didn't have the strength to hold up my hand. And my hand would be shaking continuously. Life was a living hell. I would go to the bathroom and I would stand in front of the urinal and my fingers couldn't find the zip because there was no sensitivity in the fingers. And even if I could, didn't have the strength to pull down the zip. I've had to wait sometimes for 7 to 10 minutes in front of the urinal and feeling so helpless in life. I was almost tempted to ask the next person, can you pull down my zip? So that's how life was. But I did tell myself one thing, that it was a network around me, the friends, the people around me who would give me energy, whose energy I need to actually take into myself and become more positive. And how do I do that? The best way to do that is to be cheerful. So I told myself, any room I walk into, the happiness quotient in that room would go up because I was there. So I would go into a room for a meeting and I would crack a joke. People around me would also start laughing. The whole atmosphere would chill out a little bit and people would be relaxed. And that would give me more energy. And that energy would reflect back on others. And I realized that being positive is something which is very, very, it's a virtuous cycle. It builds on itself and you start feeling better and better as you become more positive. And unfortunately, I was still unable to find a solution for my problem because the standard medication, which is steroids, and every once in a while, I would have a small dose of this IVIG because that's all I could afford. All this together was just barely keeping me able to walk and work. I was finding it very difficult to even type in those days. And I had to find a solution. So finally, I kept looking. In those days, the internet was nowhere near as powerful as it is today. But I kept looking for a solution. And finally, I found a treatment in the US where a doctor was treating patients with a clinical trial, what it's called an experimental treatment. I spoke to the doctor. The doctor said, well, this treatment has a 70% chance of success. So there's a 70% probability that your condition will be arrested or even improve. But there is a 2% probability that you will die when you go through the treatment. It was a difficult decision. But then, we stay in Bangalore, right? Every time you try to cross the road, it's a 2% probability of death. So I decided that maybe I should take this chance and go for the treatment. So I went to the US and went through the treatment and they reset my body completely. And this was what I used to look like before I went for the treatment. I had put on 16 kilos because of the steroids and I couldn't see properly. And I went for the treatment and it actually rebooted my body through using chemo and some rat and rabbit extract, etc. And that was me in the hospital. The treatment actually worked. I started feeling better after about the third or fourth day. After they They killed my entire immune system and restarted it using my own stem cells. On the 4th, 5th day, I started feeling better. I could barely get out of bed and walk to the bathroom. I was so tired, but I told myself, today I have to walk one round around the hospital corridor. And I pushed myself to do that. It was incredibly tough. And I had some 6 or 7 bottles connected to me through a direct line into my jugular vein. And these bottles were antibiotics, chemo, and rat and rabbit, and saline, and all that kind of stuff. But luckily, it was on a stand, and I could take the stand and hold it. It had wheels. And using the stand as a crutch, I would keep walking around the hospital. So the first day, I managed to walk one round, which is 50 meters. I had to stop and sit for 3 times in that 50 meters. But I did that, and I was feeling awesome at the end of that. So it's again that sense of purpose which really helped me. And the fact that I believe that I can improve myself by continuously pushing myself. Next day, I could walk 2 rounds. Next day, I walked 3 rounds. And next day, I walked 5 rounds. And I was feeling phenomenal. Finally, I was discharged from the hospital. I came back to India, and I actually drew up an Excel sheet with the next 180 days, each date I put. And I put 27 exercises, and for each exercise, for each date, I put a number. And that number was the targeted number of times I would do that exercise. So 180 days into 27, so many cells I filled up. Every week, the target would go up by 10%. My target was that at the end of 6 months, I wanted to walk 5 kilometers. So 500 meters to 5 kilometers. That was the plan. And it worked. At the end of 6 months, I was walking 6 kilometers. I could lift 3 kilograms in my hand, which could barely actually hold a pencil and lift it to begin with. So 3 kilograms I could lift, I could do push-ups, and I was feeling on top of the world. And what I decided to do, lying in the hospital bed in Chicago, is that I didn't want to let my life go waste for those 3 months. I wanted to do something. I wanted to contribute. I wanted to make a difference in the world. And I went back to my original passion. And this is what Dr. Moti said, right? The passion is so important. And my passion was to write a book. And I thought I would start it from the hospital bed in Chicago. Unfortunately, I couldn't type. My fingers were completely useless. So I could only use my thumbs to type. And so I could barely cover a page a day. But I came back to India and I bought a software, which is a voice-to-text software. And I completed writing my book in about 3 months' time. One whole damn book, 250 pages came out in 2 months' time. And I think it was the combination of this daily targets I would set for myself on my exercise front and how I would achieve each target each day. That would actually bring in what is called a chemical called dopamine into the brain. Every time you achieve something, dopamine comes into your brain. And when dopamine comes in, you feel wonderful. It's like actually having a drug, you feel really good, great. And on a daily basis, I was having 27 injections of the drug into my brain because I was doing so many exercises and beating every single target. And that came into my book, that entire happiness and feeling of wackiness. And so the book was an extremely humorous science fiction for children. It is called Oops, the Mighty Gurgle. And I managed to get it published. After about 13, 14 rejections, finally some publisher actually picked it up. It's a completely wacky book I never wrote it for children. It is written for all age groups. But finally, the publisher who picked it up is a children's book author. So it got published as a children's book. It's got a laughter in every page because I was going through that kind of a mood when I wrote the book. And the book became a great success. This was published in 2012, actually. And I was invited to schools to deliver talks, and I would actually go to schools and I would actually teach these kids a language called Gurglese, which is spoken by this evolved pumpkin from the future called a gurgle. So the kids loved the Gurglese because it was full of squeaks and squeals and grunts. And I realized that I could actually hold 800 to 1,000 children in one large hall completely transfixed without making a noise except for the laughter for a whole hour. And I realized, wow, I have the ability to make people happy. And then, luckily, I was invited to a company to deliver a talk. As a keynote author, people do that, right? I mean, so as an author, people really want you to sort of give gyan. And you suddenly get elevated to a different level. And I was feeling really humbled at that time that a company really wants me to give a session to their employees. And I'd never done it before, except for in my own company. But it was a great experience. Here I was talking about my own life and the lessons I learned from that. This is, of course, all the children and sessions that I have taken. And that's me as a corporate speaker. And my first event where I went and spoke extempore without having any idea of what I should speak about, I just spoke about my life. And that got voted the best event of the evening. I realized I have an ability to make people feel positive, to make people realize that life is a long innings. And even if you have setbacks, you can always convert those setbacks to successes if you have the mindset to do that. And that learning gave me a new purpose in life. And I threw out my old purpose, which is to become the global CEO of a Fortune 500 company by the age of 45. My new purpose was far more empowering. I told myself I wanted to touch 1 million lives positively. And every step of the way in the last 10 years has been driven by that overpowering purpose, which is actually taken on my entire life. It's given me meaning in my life. And I have been doing that. I wrote my third book, which is basically second book, which is called From Ouch to Oops. It's a autobiography. It's written in a very humorous fashion. If there are science teachers in this group, I can tell them that the book is dedicated to all the protons in the universe who stay positive in spite of all the negativity whizzing around them. So this book became a bestseller from day one. And I realized I have the ability to really make the world a better place. So that is my ambition. It's a soaring, huge ambition, which is to make the world a better place because I was alive in this world. And that has driven me continuously over the last 10 years. And I have tried to analyze, and this is exactly like what Dr. Murthy said. You need to sit and reflect. And the more you reflect, the better you understand yourself, your mistakes, your failures, your wins, your victories. And from them, you can actually derive a complete framework for success in life. And I did that. I reflected a lot, and I started reading up on mindset, on the brain, on soft skills, on power skills. And I realized that these are what is really required for success in life. So I have tried to put down those skills, which I believe are extremely important. You can remember these four using the first four letters, the acronym. It's called PENG. Now, my daughter is a doctor in the UK. And in the UK, PENG means something really fabulous, wonderful, beautiful. Right? So remember PENG. You can also remember it penguin without the head. But remember PENG, remember these four important characteristics or qualities that I believe are critical for success in life. So the first one, and I would come to growth mindset last because it sort of covers the whole thing. But the first one is the sense of purpose. It's purposefulness which actually makes somebody dream big and go after goals in life. Now, whether the goal is to become a great musician, become a wonderful human being, become a great parent, become a great teacher, touch people's lives positively by becoming an influential teacher, or to become a very good coder and become an engineer, or somebody who wants to design machines, or a doctor who wants to save millions of lives, or a lawyer who wants to stand up for people who are downtrodden, whatever it is, a sense of purpose is so critical to life. And that is the first thing that really helped me. And along with that, this lofty goal that you need to set for yourself, and that's what the sense of purpose is about. It can be a life goal. It can be for the next 5 years. It can be a goal for the next 1 year. It can be for the next 1 month, 1 week, 1 day, today, in this hour. But it's important to have a goal which drives you, because otherwise you meander in life. And that's what happened to me in IIT, right? I just lost my sense of purpose. And from being a very bright, a person with a bright future, suddenly I became somebody who was desperately trying to figure out how I can commit suicide. So that entire thing, that change just happened because of a lack of purpose. So purpose is really critical in life. And what people need to do is to break down that purpose into strategies, the strategies into daily goals and daily tasks, and go after achieving those tasks on a daily basis. And the next one is end-to-end ownership. The end-to-end ownership is the belief that you are the owner of your life. And to make a difference, it is not others you need to depend on. You need to depend on yourself to make a difference in life. And I'm not saying that you need to be individualistic, because you will need lots of support from a lot of people to be able to succeed in life. But it's your responsibility to reach out to others, to get that support, to build a network of support in life proactively so that they can support you, right? So the buck stops with you. That belief is so critical. And for me, that has really driven every step of my way. So for example, once I decided that I want to touch 1 million lives positively, everybody I would speak to, I would always throw in this angle of what I want to do in life. And people, I would tell it in the form of short stories that I want to achieve things, etc. And they would like it. They will find it interesting. And I suddenly had a lot of people who wanted to support me on that. So I consulted Azim Premji Foundation as for the last 10 years, I have been doing that. And one of the things I was doing is I was bringing out a science magazine for school teachers. We were looking for somebody to head the publication department, and I was interviewing people for that. And I came across this lady who was really a really wonderful lady. Unfortunately, there was no fit between her exact capabilities and what we needed, and we parted as friends. 3 months down the line, she sent me a mail saying that she wanted to. She was heading Macmillan's publications. They wanted to come out with a new set of textbooks called the English Reader. And they wanted to feature my story in the 8th grade textbook. And I was amazed that, I'm just a normal, ordinary human being who's had some struggles in life and who managed to get over it. Nothing more than that. But to have my life story in a textbook, and to have 50,000, 60,000, maybe 1 lakh of children every year reading it and feeling inspired, that is the greatest honor I could have in my life. And today, because of this, I'm so much closer to touching my 1 million lives positively. And every once in a while, I get an email from some child in some distant corner of the country saying that they had read about me in their textbook. And they had then Googled me, found my contact number, email ID, and then send me a mail. And I find it humbling and amazing that I'm able to touch people's lives like that. After becoming a corporate speaker, my next a corporate speaker and a children's speaker, schools, and I have delivered talks in about 70, 80 schools actually, and addressed maybe 50,000 children. My next task was how do I change the world to become a better place? How do I ensure that the next generation is far more positive and who is helpful, supportive, compassionate, grateful individuals who grow up to have a great purpose and beyond just themselves, a purpose which is much larger than just their success in life. To do that, I realized that I need to touch the lives of kids, not adults, because it has to be molded from early childhood. So to do that, I spend time with children. But then I realized that I spend 1 hour talking to them. That 1 hour they'll feel extremely inspired, and many of them come and give me hugs and take pictures with me and all that kind of stuff. But that's not enough, right? That 1 hour they might, after that, they'll go back. Some of them would have the seed inside them, which will burgeon later, but many of them would forget about what I've said. To make a lasting impact, I needed to touch their lives on a daily basis. I cannot do that on my own. I needed to get people who touch their lives on a daily basis. And I thought of parents. So I wanted to write a book for parents, which will guide them in making their children happy, authentic, responsible, purpose-driven, and socially conscious human beings. And the result was my book on active parenting. Again, this book also became a bestseller from day one. Today, it still is one of the best-selling books in India by Indian authors. I have tens of thousands of parents who have read this book. I've had schools who have bought this book and distributed to their parents. And it's got a rating of 4.4 out of 5 in Amazon, and about 250 people have rated it. So I've managed to actually convert my dreams into reality, convert every setback in my life into something positive, because I've been able to learn from my mistakes, and I've made so many mistakes, but I've been able to learn from it, work on myself by reflecting on my mistakes, applying the right kind of tactics or techniques to improve my mindset. So I take ownership, end-to-end ownership for my own life. And that's what actually prompted me to go to the US to get a treatment when none of the doctors in India knew about what this treatment was. So I had to find my own solutions for myself. The next one is what I call network. But network, I put network as a way of putting in the acronym as PENG. But actually, it's about collaboration. It's about this mindset of being able to work with others. And this one thing I can tell you is that today I'm a successful speaker only because of a large number of friends who have reached out and supported me. And they've supported me because they've realized that I have a selfless goal of touching people's lives. The more you give, the more you get. And that's what has helped me. So this network is actually ability to collaborate. And how do you get the ability to collaborate at work or in personal life? The way to do that is to be kind and gentle and helpful to others. Be generous with your time, with your money, with your experiences. Share it widely. Help people whenever you can. I spend half an hour to 45 minutes every day trying to figure out somebody to help. And I reach out to people to help and offer them. If anybody reaches out to me for anything, I spend time on that. I help them. I use my network to support people who need support. And I'm generous with my time, my money, my advice, my shared experiences. And that has given me this massive network of people who have supported me throughout. So it's all about giving first, without any expectation of getting back anything. But you will find that the universe conspires to keep giving you more and more as you give more and more. So that is PENGA, P-E-N-N. Now comes the most important aspect, which is growth mindset. And as Ms. Bhairavi already said, growth mindset is the ability, the belief that any ability or any talent can be grown by employing the right strategies and by hard work, continuous practice. Now, this is completely opposite to the other mindset, which is called the fixed mindset, where the belief is that you're born with a certain amount of ability, and whatever you do, that ability is not going to increase or decrease. The difference between these two is amazing, actually. People with growth mindset continuously take on new challenges. They try new paths, new ways of doing things, because they believe that even if they fail, it's just a reflection on their current amount of preparation. Whereas those with fixed mindset are scared of trying out new things or new challenges, because if they fail, they believe it's a reflection on their inborn ability. And hence they are far more scared of appearing to be losers. So obviously the people who try risky paths, try new ways and new methods of doing these things are more innovative, more creative. They take more risks in life, and hence they achieve far, far more than people with fixed mindset. People with growth mindset are willing to take feedback. People with fixed mindset are scared of taking feedback. People with growth mindset, actually, and teachers would laugh about this, they would love exams because they want to pit their brains against the exam. And even if they fail, they know that it's just a reflection on how much they can prepare next time. People with fixed mindset are scared of exams, because if they fail or they get bad marks, then it's a reflection on their abilities. People with growth mindset are comfortable speaking to their subordinates and learning from them. People with fixed mindset are petrified of talking, letting their subordinates know that they have some gap in their learning. Because the moment they do that, they believe that it's a reflection on their inborn ability. So you see, the growth mindset is absolutely critical to support sense of purpose, to take ownership, and to build a network. Because people who have growth mindset will go out and reach out to many others to support them and take support from them. Whereas people with fixed mindset are always putting themselves on a pedestal, trying not to interact, trying not to let others know that they have weaknesses. So they are not authentic. They are people who are always trying to put up a facade. Growth mindset people are authentic, so hence they are trusted by others. They're transparent in their lives, and if they make a mistake, they'll immediately admit that they made a mistake. They don't find that it will reflect on their inborn ability. So growth mindset is critical. So together, P, E, N, and G are what makes somebody successful. I think if you can inculcate these 4 qualities in your students, and I believe you are all teachers and principals who have 11th and 12th grades as your students. And I think it's so important at that particular age to inculcate all these values in them. People are putting up their hands. So if you have questions, you could actually type it into the chat box, and then I can take it up once in the next 5 minutes once this is over. So P, E, and G together is critical. Now, the question is this. You get all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds, right? I mean, you have people who come from very brilliant parents, and hence possibly their genetics are tuned towards a particular way. You have children who come from parents who have not done so well in life. So all kinds of children are there. Can all of them have these 4 qualities? Well, the answer is this, and there is a lot of scientific study on this. 50% of our abilities actually come from genetics, from our birth. But don't be disappointed, because the other 50% comes from what you can build of yourself. So nature versus nurture. You can nurture, you can grow any quality that you want. We have about 86 billion neurons, nerve cells in your brain. And the connections between those brain cells is what defines our abilities. And today we know there's something called neuroplasticity, where the brain connections keep changing as you learn new things. And you can grow almost any capability, any ability by working hard at it, by practicing something on a regular basis. So if you can get your children to practice P, E, and G, then they will also grow up with these qualities which are important. So let me give you some 3 or 4 suggestions on what you can do. And my first one is the most favorite. It is actually storytelling. And it's so important for inculcating values in children, because rather than talking down to them, what the story does is you are actually putting them at the same level. You are telling a nice story. You're not stressing on the moral aspect of the story, but what happens is the moral aspects go into their psyche very deeply when you're telling it as a story. Because story opens up so many connections in your brain. And in each of those connections, you're actually storing up that particular quality that you want to talk about. So you might ask, a science teacher or a math teacher, how do you tell a story? You're just teaching them specific dry subject. But it's not. So for example, one of my favorite stories is that of Charles Darwin. We all know Charles Darwin is the one who sort of came up with the theory of natural selection for evolution. But 15 minutes if you can take before you teach evolution in a class to talk about Darwin and how he came to that. Darwin actually spent 30 years of his life perfecting his theory before he published it. He knew that he had to study breeding of plants, breeding of animals, breeding of birds. So what he did was actually he set up a massive garden in his house, and he started breeding, interbreeding these different varieties of the same plant to see if, what kind of hybrid varieties come out. He would actually spend time with, when he visited his friends, he would not spend time with the friends, he would spend time with their gardeners, trying to understand from the gardeners how they hybrid different plants. He built a massive aviary that is for having birds in his house, and he interbred them, and he tried to figure out how genetic traits pass from generation to generation. He had dogs in his house, and he would befriend people with who are dog breeders. And by the way, Darwin was of a particular life class, and a dog breeder is much below him in terms of class, but he had no problem going and sitting with them, learning how they would actually make purebred dogs. They were published. He realized that he did not have enough knowledge about anatomy, and he wanted to learn the anatomy of something called a barnacle. It's a small sea creature, which he spent 8 years studying the anatomy of barnacles, getting barnacles from all over the world, writing to tens of thousands of people to send him barnacles from even as distant as Antarctica. And then he would dissect them and learn anatomy. His ability to network with people was amazing. His sense of purpose was amazing. His ownership on taking these things forward was amazing. And obviously his growth mindset to learn each and every new subject which he had no idea about was amazing. So Darwin is a fantastic example of Peng. And I'm sure you will find such stories in every subject that you teach. So it's important to spend even 5-10 minutes a day or at the beginning of any new concept to talk about the story, and the story will go in deeply. So story is one thing. Then the other thing which I think is equally critical is role modeling. Many teachers I have found are very open to learning new things from students. And that's so important, because the teacher is showing their vulnerability, saying that I don't know something, can you teach me? What the lesson, the message they're sending to the student is that it's okay not to know something. It's more important to ask and learn rather than cover up your lack of knowledge and sit around. So in a school, it's so important for teachers to role model this to children. The third thing which is important is for growth mindset specifically, is never congratulate a child on their intelligence. Always congratulate them if they get good marks on the hard work they have put in. Never admonish a child saying that you are dumb or you don't have the ability, etc. Just if they get bad marks, admonish them on the lack of preparation. So the child knows it's preparation which is important, that it's not inborn ability which is important. So these are the 3-4 things that you can do to build a growth mindset and sense of purpose, etc. Especially sense of purpose and end-to-end ownership. And I would also suggest one very important thing is that have group projects in your school when you're teaching subjects. Let kids sit together, interact with each other, learn group dynamics, and learn leadership skills from that. And then guide them as a teacher to speak more, to collaborate more. Children who are doing well understand what they're doing better, suggest to others how they can also pick up some of these skills and bring up everybody's level as much as you can. Collaborative projects are extremely important for developing life skills, or what I call power skills in children. So that's it from my side. Now, I think I have taken quite a bit of time. We have about 15 minutes left. I'm open to questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. And I can say you are the live example of growth mindset. From what you have, from your story, I can say definitely our teachers have realized that, yes, growth mindset is something, it really works. Now, here are some questions which I have received. I'll just take them to you.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. Okay, we have learned about purposefulness, end-to-end ownership, network, and growth mindset today.
Mhm.
So, from that, what is the role of a parent in when it includes, if what they have to include when they are teaching their kids, or what is the role of a teacher that then inculcate with the students to, enhance this growth mindset instead of having that, no, we cannot do it, or the positivity. We have done a lot of sessions also in prior sessions, but I would like to hear from you, sir.
So I think it's extremely important for the teachers and parents to work together and pull in the same direction. I mean, as a parenting coach and parenting author, I have spent a lot of time studying how parents behave with their children. And I think an equal amount of the weight has to be taken by both parents and teachers. And the parent-teacher meetings, rather than just discussing the subject and the marks, I think it's important for parents and teachers to engage in understanding the motive of a child, the power skills of the child, where they lack, where they need to be this thing. And teachers can guide parents, because a lot of parents actually take guidance from teachers because they look up to teachers as people who are handling thousands of children, right? So it's important for teachers to give the message of growth mindset and collaboration, sense of purpose, etc. to parents, and actually get them also onto the same boat as the teachers. So it's a work which is collaborative between teachers and parents. Both have very, very important role to play in getting the child up and running.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Another question which is anonymous I have received. They are asking, so you have been a senior leader in corporate world as per your experience that you have shared with us. So what do you think is the impact of the 4 qualities, that is purposefulness, the PENG qualities, I will use the short form, that can, you have mentioned that how that can impact a student's life, and if you can share some examples for that.
So students who grow up inculcating or internalizing these qualities,
Yeah.
They actually zoom through their corporate life at a much, much faster pace than those who do not have. So it is those people who are ambitious, who want to achieve something. And I don't mean just in terms of money or position, but they want to excel in what they do. And they spend time and effort in building those qualities. And they're the ones who, and I have coached so many CEOs and CXOs and so many senior leaders. The one thing I know for certain is that those who take risks, those who are able to tread the untrodden path and get their teams charged up, they're the ones who do extremely well in their careers. And to get your team charged up, it's so important to be authentic, compassionate, grateful for what you have, always be positive and have a smile on your lips, always encourage people and coach them rather than admonish them and put them down. These are such important aspects of becoming great leaders. And this has to be learned in school. And if you learn that in school, then your entire life will be successful.
We can say this is the process. It's a process that, it's not a last day job.
Absolutely.
Teacher or a parent for that matter. If I am a parent to my child, I have to start inculcating all these qualities in my child from when he or she is reaching adolescent. Then
It's every day, every interaction, you
Yeah.
need to be aware of this and you need to
Yes.
keep reinforcing it again and again and again and again.
because these students of 12 standards or our educators, they go through a lot of, they have so many targets and things. So this is not that they can do, okay, last minute we do it, fine. We
Yeah.
will start teaching them on, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The third question for the today is, what about those who do not have these qualities? What happens to that? Exactly what we were just about to discuss.
Yeah. So, I mean, as I said, nobody is born with the ability or not lack of ability, right?
Yes.
There is a part of it, but part of it is something that you can work and grow. And it's important for teachers to actually tell the students that this particular aspect, that any ability can be grown. There is scientific evidence for that. And hence, don't give up. Keep working on it and help them set goals for themselves, set small tasks for themselves on a daily basis. Help them with tools such as checklists, which they can do and putting sets of tasks for them on a daily basis, which they can then go ahead and address. That's the only way children can actually learn. And a constant practice of small things to do.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. There is another question which says, the teacher is asking, how do schools embrace and internalize these qualities in the institution? It's exactly what we say, school development initiative program.
So the school has to be the role model.
Yes.
If you see in the school that the principal is not talking to the teachers properly, or principal is not willing to learn from the teachers and students, that school will never be able to inculcate growth mindset. At the same time, if the principal is somebody who's open, who is constantly interacting with teachers and students, learning from them, becoming better, understanding suggestions from them, implementing them, then the school will automatically inculcate these qualities in children. The school needs to also work, as I said, on things like group projects, maybe outbound visits, encouraging interaction between students in stressful situations, like completing a project on time or doing some game activity together, whatever it is, right? So that their rough edges get smoothened and they learn how to work and collaborate with each other. And that's how skills can be developed.
Okay. That's fantastic, sir. I think we are done with our questions for today.
So let me then share my contacts with the
Yes, you
with the
can.
team, and anybody is interested can reach out to me. My email ID is info@ramjivalatha.com, and I'll be happy to deliver sessions to school children, teachers, and even parents. I'll be delighted if I can reach out to as many people as possible. It'll just help me reach my million lives positively.
Yes, all the educators, they can talk to the principals and have maximum, you can get in touch with Mr. Ramji and, get his guidance at whenever he can from his busy schedule, the way he has given us time today. Everybody can please note it down and get in touch with him. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time. I would also like to inform all the participants today. We will be sharing the e-certificates within 3 to 4 working days to your respective email IDs. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Maravi, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.